This is such a funny film. I found it start to finish to be one of those where you laugh tear through it. Were you always in mind to write, direct, and star in this?
Yeah, yeah, that was always the intention, was to write something that we can just roll out of bed and shoot in our house, with some iPhones and make a personal story into something that was entertaining and emotional. And yeah, so we always just knew it was a very personal story that we were going to do. You know.
What is the backstory between these two, this couple that we know Gigi and Sam have sort of a tumultuous relationship, or it's misconstrued that it's that it's a sort of a tumultuous relationship?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's it's we our relationship, especially in the beginning of our relationship, was it was would you say a passionate sort of meet cute, as they say. We came together, you're trying to figure each other out, and sometimes it's couples can have an intense energy between them, and you know some of it's misconstrued in the movie. It's misconstrued in a negative way, you know, and some of it might be just genuinely legitimate, the way couples just have a passion between each other.
So is Sam really trying to just move the car? I found that to be like a funny little insert there. We find him when he's first being arrested. He comes back and the cops are like, "Oh, wait, he's backing up." And then you back into the driveway. That whole sequence just had me rolling. Was he really intending to flee and that he thought better of it?
I really I really think that yeah, if you notice, that's the way Sam drives. Sometimes he pulls back, sometimes he pulls forward, he looks back when he goes forward. So it felt like a natural choreography for the scene. I think he thought about driving away completely, because that's what one does in those situations. But when you realize that's the worst mistake ever, you go back to what your original plan was, just park the car in the driveway.
Gabriella Gigi is she has this unique take on her husband. She understands that he's sort of this man child, but also that's what she loves about him, question mark. Is that what she loves?
Well, for sure she loves him. I'm not sure if she loves like all his behaviors, like they're very challenging. Um, and that's pretty much like the reason of the whole drama, which like also we wanted to point even like in our relationship and the movie, because Sam, like is in the spectrum of autism and he wasn't diagnosed, and like it was hard to understand where that behavior was coming from. And but yeah, but she kind of has an unconditional love, right? Like toward him, even with his whole behavior. So yeah, there's love, there's a lot of patience with Gigi, which I don't have personally. It was based on
It's a
like
fictional
something that
take on
happened
your
with
relationship.
us. Oh,
It's this fictional with love take on your current relationship.
yes, exactly.
You're balancing a baby, but also a man baby at the same
Well,
time.
I figured if you act patient, maybe it rubs off on you in real life.
Yes, the patience, but also that sort of wears thin when you have a child, though, as well. You
Very
have
much so.
one one child you're raising, you don't need a grown adult as well. So I think that's an interesting dynamic as well, too, because there does get to a point where, yes, you love this person, but they do have to grow up. But I have to say, each and every scene of Sam is sweet. I have to ask you about working with Andrew, though, because he does play your attorney, and he has the name Leeds. Was he always intentional already to just have that name, or did you throw him a little lifeline and so he could be a heightened version?
Yeah, well, Andrew and I go way back. We did our first movie together, and we met on the set of Major Pain, which was actually, it was technically 30 years ago. This year, this Yeah, it came out. It was out in the theaters 30 years ago, right now, Major Pain. And we were both kids on that movie. And we just, we got along and we became friends really quickly. And, in that movie, we're like cadets in this military kind of school situation. And he's a traitor. He betrays us and he goes to the other school. And then at the end of the movie, we have a relay race where I run against him and we're racing and he trips me and he steals my glory and and I don't get to win the race and get the trophy. And for Major Pain fans, you'll know that that's it's a heartbreaking moment. Um, so when this came around to do this, and I was writing our lawyer characters, who's the first person I could think of but that traitor rat bastard Tripper who tripped me to play my lawyer to defend me. Like what could go wrong? And so I just know. So as a screenwriter, when you know the actor that you're writing for, and you know that whenever they're going to say a line, they're going to elevate it and make it better. I definitely wrote it for him, thinking whatever Andrew's going to say, he's going to make it sound way funnier. And so yeah, I figured the name would be perfect for him because actually his name sounds very proactive and it sounds like he's going to take
That's
charge
true.
and he's going to lead and it's very funny how that doesn't quite happen in the film.
Stephen, you have a gift for physical comedy, but was there a scene that you had to let someone step in and sort of tackle it for you?
I wish. No, no, there was no real time to have anybody to step in, and we couldn't really afford to pay anybody else to be my stunt double and take all the hits. But yeah, no, I love, again, I started out as an actor. I love physical acting and just throwing your whole body into it, 150% reckless abandon. You got to just go for it.
I have to also ask you about working with Billy Baldwin. His character is so slimy and perfectly crafted into sort of conning people or convincing people that women are the enemy. What made him the perfect person for this role?
Well, that's so I worked with his brother Alec on a film called Lime Life, and Billy was actually a producer on that. So we kind of go back, and and when it came around to do this movie, we were thinking, oh, maybe I could, Alec was he played in Lime Life, he played the character that's based on my dad, so he was like this father figure, um, patriarchal character. And so at first I was thinking about Alec, and then he was going through a lot of stuff in his life and everything. And Gabby was she started to work on this on her second movie she produced, and she saw a headshot of Billy Baldwin, and they were casting him in her other movie, and she said, "Hey, what about Alec's brother Billy?" And I remembered that I had spent a lot of time with Billy 20 years ago. I stayed in his apartment in Central Park West when we were making Lime Life. If you look up that film, it was we shot it in New York and New Jersey. And so, Billy said he wanted to, step on board and act. And so it was really, it was a nice reunion because I hadn't seen him in a while.
All right, Gabriella, this movie has heart and such humor to it. What were your particular favorite scenes to shoot?
Well, it's hard to pick because it was such a fun and high vibration set we had. Like everybody was so happy, and it's just so fun to act that it's so hard to pick a scene. I really like. I think I really like. I like to watch romantic comedies. That's like my go-to. But I really like to act drama. So the scene that like Sam proposes like was really like fulfilling for me, like to be so dramatic and cry, and it comes very easily for me to cry, like in like like act as an actress. So I think that was like I felt good like doing that scene. Like I felt like it was easy to do it, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Gabby!" And even now, like people say that's one
Powerful scene.
for sure a moment that
Powerful scene.
yeah, people say like, "Oh, I cried that scene." So I got so many like people from the audience, and it felt good like doing that. Like I think I play drama. It's easy for me.
But I got to say, we shot that scene. We had to do that scene 7 times in a row, and so and it's a big emotional scene, and it's a proposal, which is also, proposing 7 times in a row and going through all that, and you have to really be at 100 and 10%. And so it was, it's obviously we love doing that stuff, but it's you have to really stay in that state and keep yourself like balanced.
It felt kind of like he was really proposing.
Is there a scene, Stephen, that was more difficult to go from page to screen for you?
You know, um, I was so there's this, it's a sort of a part of the movie is like a courtroom dramedy, I would say. There's a courtroom aspect to it, right? And so I really loved shooting those courtroom scenes because we got to just you know run it like a play and rehearse it, and the actors just can play their parts, and our camera woman was just following us with the camera, and it was really like old school theater, and it was so rewarding and rich to do. But the last scene in the court, when my character has to get up in front of the judge and finally speak for himself, that was really hard for me to even figure out how to write, because it's one of those tropey moments or a cliche moment where I got to represent myself and stand in front of the judge. And, we've seen it all a million times. And as a writer, you're always like trying to find your own unique spin on things. So that took me a while. In fact, I didn't even really quite know what I was going to say until the day of the shoot, because I was kind of avoiding it. And I feel like when I watch it now, it's so powerful. I'm like, oh wow, I was respectful for the fact that I knew this was an important thing, but it had to sort of happen on the day in the right moment. Couldn't be planned.
Gabby told me about the great response she's been receiving to this movie. Stephen, what have people been saying to you about this funny film you've created? Are they ready for a sequel?
Well, we certainly there's such a rich tapestry of stories to be told in this world, and it's really a subculture of American families who go through this stuff, and most people don't know about it. So of course we have there's scripts that I've already written that we could do for a sequel or for a series. um it's again, the fact that we brought so much levity and lightness and humor to something that can be really a serious subject, to me, is the greatest compliment and the greatest joy to watch, because it could be a harrowing, tragic situation, and some people do say they thought it was almost a horror movie at times, which again I take that as a compliment, because it's a mix of real life, which is that balance of some things that are sort of, oh my god, this is insane, and oh, this is hilarious.
Well, you mentioned it is the 30th anniversary of Major Payne, and that's such an iconic movie from people like me who are old enough to know the film. And love the hilarity that every single person brought to this movie. Are there some special moments really that continue to remain a memory for you, a cherished memory for you from filming?
um just the best. It's when you get to work with your friends and your family, and you get to show up with the people that you love. It's a gift and a privilege. And to me, the fact that we got to do this together, and my friends were there to support me, and some of them were playing other parts, opposite me. That was just It's really just about all the people and that you get to work with, and you wish you could keep bringing them back. I wish I could write more scenes for these actors and give them more stuff to do. So it's really just the people that really bring it to life. I love it. I'm so thankful.
What's next for you guys, Gabby? Have you guys been working on other projects where you're starring in Steven's work, or Steven, have you been sort of back in the lab crafting things for maybe the two of you or some other people who are friends of yours?
We do have three projects that we just needed to put this movie out there, which we just did yesterday. Was the premiere on the theaters, and now it's going to VOD. It's going to be on Amazon Video on July 11th. So please watch our movie. I'm sure you're going to love it. You can pre-order on Apple TV and Amazon Video from June 20th now. So we were waiting to finish this, and then we have these three finished scripts. Two are Steven's script, and we have another one that we really like. And we
Some
don't know, like like we have them kind of like already a deck, the full script, the finished script. So we just
it's
need
a
to
matter
like,
of where can you get the money, what gets the most sort of action, and what
we're
do you want to make,
like, yeah, we are not sure like which one we're gonna start like putting more energy to, but they're ready to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just you gotta kind of have a few things juggling in order, in this business. I've been around long enough to know you can't really put your eggs in one basket. But as a screenwriter, you have to be ready. So we have scripts, we have decks, we have everything ready to go. So it's just about, you got to go and get the money to make these things.